Hello, my dear bacha. Welcome back. I know your exams are just around the corner, so I thought, let's do a super quick, super easy revision of one of my absolute favorite chapters, this story of our clothes. Trust me, it's an easy one to get full marks in.
Okay, let's just jump right in. Right now, wherever you are, just look down. Look at the t-shirt or the kurta you're wearing. Go on, really look at it. I mean, we see our clothes every single day, but have you ever stopped and wondered, where did this actually come from?
Believe it or not, every single piece of cloth has a secret story, a whole magical journey it goes on before it gets to you. And this journey, it starts with something so tiny you can barely even see it. So, you ready? Let's uncover that story together.
So, where does it all begin? Well, the very first step, the starting point for every t-shirt, every sari, every single fabric in the world is a little something called a fiber.
So what's a fiber? It's basically just a thin, hair-like strand. Seriously, think of it like one single strand of your hair, but for cloth. Or, you know what? Think of it like a tiny Lego block. You need a whole bunch of them to build anything, right? Same thing with clothes. Simple, yeah?
Okay, now listen up. This is super important for your exam, bache. These fibers come in two main types. First, you've got natural fibers. The name says it all, right? They come from nature, from plants, like cotton, or from animals like sheep for wool. Then, you have synthetic fibers. These are the man-made ones, cooked up in big factories using chemicals, things like nylon and polyester.
And here's a little Ariva fact for you, something to be really proud of. It was our India that was the very first country in the whole world to figure out how to grow cotton and turn it into clothes. How amazing is that? We literally showed the world how it's done.
Okay, so we've got all these tiny, fluffy, kind of weak fibers. Now what? You can't really make a t-shirt out of fluff, can you? We need to make it strong. And that's where spinning comes in. All spinning is just twisting those little fibers together again and again until they become one long, strong thread, which we also call yarn.
And look at this. For thousands of years, people have used simple tools like this spindle right here. We call it a takli, to spin cotton. It's like magic. You take some fluffy cotton, you twist it, and poof, you get a strong thread. Hey, you should totally try this at home with a little cotton ball.
All right, stage 2. We've got our strong thread. But how does a long piece of thread become, a flat piece of fabric? Well, this is where the real magic happens. It's called weaving. But you know something really cool? We humans, we weren't the first ones to figure this out. Nature is full of expert weavers. Just look at this incredible nest from the Baya bird. It takes little strands of grass and just weaves them together to build this amazing, strong little house. What an artist, right?
So what exactly is weaving? It's actually a super simple idea. You just take two sets of threads. One set goes up and down, vertically, and the other set goes across, horizontally. And you just weave it over, under. That's it. I'm sure you've seen someone making a chatai at home, right? It's exactly the same thing.
You know, you can actually do this yourself. Just get some strips of paper, lace them down vertically, and then weave the other strips through them. Push them together nice and tight, and ta-da! You've just woven your own little mat. Making cloth is the exact same idea, just with millions of very fine threads.
Now, here in India, we have two big ways of doing this. On one hand, you have the traditional handloom. This is all done by hand, by amazing artisans. It supports lakhs of families, and it keeps our incredible ancient traditions alive. And on the other hand, you've got the modern textile mills. Here, gigantic machines do all the work, super duper fast. Both are really important for our country.
Okay, so we have our fabric. We're almost there. But you can't just wrap a big flat piece of cloth around you, can you? I mean, you could, but... So this brings us to the final finishing touches, the story of stitches.
And guess what? Just like with weaving, nature has its own little expert tailor. This tiny bird is actually called a tailor bird. Why? Because it literally stitches leaves together with things like plant fibers or even spider webs to make its nest. Isn't that the coolest thing?
But here in India, we don't just use stitches to join pieces of cloth together. Oh no, we turned it into this absolutely breathtaking art form called embroidery. We use all these different kinds of stitches to paint pictures and create these beautiful patterns on our clothes. Every style tells a story, It's like a special language that tells you where it's from.
So let's go on a quick little tour. First stop, Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh.
Here we have the super elegant and delicate Chikankari. It's usually this beautiful white thread on light fabric. It looks so graceful, almost like a shadow. So beautiful.
And then let's go to Punjab, where we have the amazing Phulkari. So colorful, so full of life. The name actually means flower work, and you can totally see why, right? It's just an explosion of color and geometric patterns. It's as vibrant as Punjab itself.
Fantastic. You've basically followed the entire journey now, from a tiny fiber to a beautiful piece of clothing. So, chalo beta, let's switch gears. It's exam time. We're going to quickly revise 2 super important questions that I see all the time in exams. So focus.
Okay, question number 1. And this one is very important. What is Khadi? I'm sure you've heard this word, probably with Gandhiji's name, right? So what was so special about it?
Okay, so here's the answer, nice and simple. Khadi is cloth that is both spun by hand and woven by hand. That's the key. Gandhiji told everyone in India, let's spin our own thread, let's wear our own cloth. And it became this massive symbol, a symbol of self-reliance, of being Atmanirbhar. It meant we didn't have to buy expensive cloth from the British. It was a symbol of our pride and our fight for freedom. Remember these points, Beta.
Brilliant. Okay, second important question. We know cotton comes from a plant, wool from a sheep, but what about that gorgeous, shiny silk? Where does that come from? Well, it comes from a tiny little creature, the silkworm. And for your exam, you definitely need to know its life cycle. So let's follow the story. It starts with the silk moth laying tiny little eggs. Then, poof! The eggs hatch and out comes a caterpillar. And this caterpillar is always hungry. It just eats and eats and eats mulberry leaves and gets bigger and bigger. Then it spins this little house for itself called a cocoon. And here's the amazing part. That whole cocoon is made from one single continuous thread of silk. And that's the thread we carefully unwind to get our beautiful silk.
And just before we go, I want to leave you with one last absolutely mind-blowing fact. For centuries, Indian weavers made this cotton cloth called muslin. It was so fine, so unbelievably delicate that people actually called it woven air. They say an entire sari could be pulled through a tiny finger ring. Can you even imagine that? That's our incredible history, so remember this magic. You are all going to do brilliantly in your exams. All the very best.